Welcome back to Coin of World channel. Welcome back to my YouTube channel Coin of World. Today we are exploring the history behind the coin of France from the year 1981. This journey will take you deep into the historical, economic and political background of France in the late 20th century, especially around the early 1980s. As we go through this long and continuous timeline, you will understand how this coin represents more than just currency. It reflects the culture, the government, the international position, and the changing values of the French Republic during that era. France in 1981 was a nation standing at the crossroads of transformation and tradition. It was a time when the world was undergoing major shifts in politics, economy, and ideology, and France was no exception. The French Republic was in its fifth constitution under the leadership of President François Mitterrand, who had just come to power in May 1981. His election marked a major turning point in French history, as he was the first socialist president of the Fifth Republic. He brought with him a new vision for France and a commitment to social justice, workers' rights, public ownership, and economic reforms, and all of these national directions were reflected subtly in the national currency, including the coins that circulated in the everyday lives of French citizens. The coin of France from 1981 is more than just a metal object. It is a record of values, traditions, and policies at the time. The denomination of the coin, whether it was 1 franc, 5 francs, or 10 centimes, carries its own story in design, material, and symbolism. The coins of this period often featured symbols of liberty, equality, fraternity, and Marianne, the national personification of the French Republic, a woman wearing the Phrygian cap, representing freedom and reason. On the reverse side of most coins minted in 1981, you would see inscriptions like Republique Française and Liber Égalité, Fraternite, and these were not just words, they were deep expressions of France's identity, rooted in the Revolution of 1789 and still alive in the collective memory of the nation. Economically, France in 1981 was facing inflation, unemployment, and global economic competition. The post-oil crisis period of the 1970s had weakened many Western economies, and France was working hard to stabilize and grow under President Mitterrand's policies. There were efforts to nationalize key industries, introduce the 39-hour work week, increase the minimum wage, and support the social welfare system. However, these reforms also created economic pressures that influenced the value of the franc and the design and production of its coinage. During this time, the coin's metal content was adjusted, in some cases reducing expensive metals like silver and increasing cheaper alloys like aluminum and nickel to keep costs down and preserve national resources. France's monetary policy in 1981 was independent and operated with the franc as the official currency. The European Union, as we know it today, was still in its early stages. The European Economic Community was growing, but the euro was not yet introduced. This means the coin from 1981 was part of a sovereign system that reflected only the economic realities and ambitions of France itself. The franc was a proud symbol of national sovereignty, and its coins were crafted with care by the Monnaie de Paris, the historic French mint, which had been producing coins since the Middle Ages. Each coin from this period carries the mint mark, the engraver's symbol, and the legacy of centuries of French numismatic tradition. The political situation in France also added layers of meaning to the coin. In 1981, François Mitterrand's presidency began with a bold move to challenge the dominance of conservative politics. He appointed a cabinet that included communists. For the first time in the Fifth Republic, he expanded government control over the economy and attempted to fulfill his electoral promises of creating a fairer society, yet opposition from conservative forces, economic realities and international pressures forced many adjustments to his initial plans. The coin from this year is a silent witness to these political shifts as it moved through the hands of every citizen during rallies, debates, reforms, and everyday life. Culturally, France was vibrant in 1981. With cinema, literature, music, and fashion flourishing, the coin served not only as a medium of transaction but also as a piece of this cultural moment. It was handled by artists, writers, shopkeepers, and students, and over time it absorbed the memory of a nation. Undergoing dynamic change, the symbolism engraved into the coin's surface represented more than abstract values. It was part of the living dialogue between the people and their government, their past and their future, their identity and their vision. Looking at the design, we can observe that coins from 1981 usually had a bold classical style combining modern fonts with traditional French emblems. Some coins featured the olive branch, a symbol of peace, others had wheat stalks indicating prosperity and agriculture. Some bore the likeness of historical figures or national allegories, and all were unified by the strong republican identity of France. Their clean lines, firm inscriptions, and balanced designs were reflections of the institutional pride and historical continuity that defined French statehood. The production of the 1981 coin involved not only metallurgy and engraving, but also deep planning by the French Treasury and Central Bank, determining how many coins to mint, what values were most needed for circulation, and how to respond to inflation and other economic factors. These decisions shaped the life and use of the coin, the way it was distributed, the way it was counted and stored, and eventually the way it was collected by numismatists around the world. Today, when collectors and historians examine the 1981 French coin, they are not just looking at a piece of money, they are holding a fragment of a historical moment, a political vision, a cultural spirit, and an economic policy. It connects them directly with the year when a new era began in France under a socialist president, when the Cold War still influenced Europe, when France was affirming its national identity while also exploring European cooperation, when workers were demanding rights and students were reading philosophy, when artists were shaping global taste and ordinary people were shaping the destiny of a nation, one coin at a time. This coin lives in collections, museums, drawers, and memory. It tells its story without words, but when studied deeply, it speaks of labor, industry, art, and statecraft. It speaks of a people determined to live with dignity. It speaks of a republic shaped by centuries of revolution, war, peace, and diplomacy, and it continues to be a timeless reminder of how even the smallest object can carry the weight of an entire era. And so in this video we honor the coin of France from 1981, not only as a currency but as a silent witness to the year of transformation in French history. Its edges have touched the lives of millions and its surface has mirrored the values of a proud, resilient, and ever-evolving nation. This is the story behind the medal. This is the story of France in 1981 through its coin. Thank you for watching and stay tuned for more deep dives into the history of world currencies here on Coin of World 2. Would you like this turned into a voiceover or a visual script for video editing too? Furthermore, the economic debates of the time were directly linked to the value of the franc and by extension to the coin itself, as inflation affected purchasing power. The government had to make difficult decisions about currency management, price controls, and wages. Every policy decision had a ripple effect down to the smallest coin in circulation, and for many working-class families, the presence of coins in the home symbolized security and survival. It represented the ability to buy essentials, to plan for the future, or to teach children the value of hard work and saving. These coins were counted carefully in markets, bakeries, and laundromats. They were sorted, wrapped, and banked. They were cherished or forgotten, but always they remained part of the material culture of the time. The international context of 1981 must also be considered, as global events influenced the economic and diplomatic choices of the French government across the Atlantic. Ronald Reagan had just become President of the United States, ushering in a new era of conservative politics that focused on deregulation, tax cuts, and anti-communism. Meanwhile, the Soviet Union remained a powerful adversary on the world stage, and tensions were high in Europe. France had to maintain both independence and security amidst these shifting powers, and its currency symbolized national unity and strength in the face of uncertainty. The coin in this sense was part of the state's effort to maintain cohesion and trust among citizens. It stood as a reliable constant in a world of change, a reminder that the Republic endures even through difficult times. Also shaped the context in which the 1981 coin circulated. Although France maintained a strict separation of church and state under laicite, religion still played a quiet role in shaping public morality, social norms, and community life. The coin as a secular object carried within it the values of the Enlightenment and of revolutionary republicanism. It symbolized the civic faith of the people in their nation, in their institutions, and in each other. In this way, it was more than metal, it was a mirror of belief and belonging. As we move toward the later part of this narrative, we must remember the role of the individual in history. Each person who touched the coin added to its silent story, whether a soldier returning from duty, each human hand made contact with this object and unknowingly contributed to its legacy. Today, as collectors examine these coins and historians trace their origins, we are reminded that history is not written only in books but in the objects we use, the spaces we move through, and the traditions we continue. So the France 1981 coin tells a story of transition and determination. It reflects the rise of a new political vision under Mitterrand. It echoes the cultural pride of a people deeply rooted in the arts and human rights. It